Parashat Noach, very famous. They even made a movie of that. So Noah in the ark. So I don't want to talk about. Actually, Yeshua was saying yesterday kind of inspired me to talk about what we're talking today. So I don't want to talk about the reasons why they went to the Teva, what happened, and so on. I want to start, we'll get to her somehow, but I want to start with Noach actually coming out of the Teva. So Noach comes out of the Teva, out of the ark, and the first thing he does is bringing a sacrifice. And the reaction of Hashem is very surprising. Hashem says, even the magnitude of that is quite surprising. It says, "Vayarach Hashem et reach hanichoach," and God smelled the fragrance of that. And again, it's not that God likes barbecue. It's just that it's something special. Without getting into this now, what's the whole association of smell? And he says, "Vayomer Hashem el libo," and Hashem said to himself, "Lo osef od leakot et kol chai." I'm not going to punish any creature anymore as the way I did. It says, "Kol yemei haaretz," until the end of time. That's what it's going to be. And the whole entire time, zera vekatzir vekor vechom vekayitz vechoref veyom velayla lo yishbot. It's going to be in order. It's going to be seeding, planting, harvesting, cold, hot, summer, winter, day and night. It's going to be in order. It's going to be good. And lo yishbotu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God promises in a certain way that there is not going to be a flood anymore. It's quite surprising. Of course, we know that God knows everything, what's going to happen. But it's quite surprising. How is it that God is so sure that there is not going to be a need to bring a flood anymore? I mean, maybe they're going to do again what they did, so therefore there's going to be a flood. Why? How is it so sure? I mean, after all, humans do have a free choice, and they can have a free choice to mess it up all over again. So how does God know? Well, he took away our free choice? No, it's not. So in order to understand that, we need to be able to look at the things a little different. The ark itself, the Teva itself, was not just meant to be a life raft or to save the creatures of the world from extinction and so on and so forth. But rather the symbolism of that and the idea behind it is very deep and very unique and very different. We need to be able to see the Teva of Noach as an act of repentance, an act of fixing up beyond just saving humanity and the creatures of the world. The root of the sin of the generation of the Mabul, of the flood, was arrogance. Not just very arrogant people. And we should really remember those things, not to be arrogant. How do we know that? Because the Pasuk tells us that. And what does the Pasuk tell us, Rabotai? Regardless of popular belief, there were no sons of God. There were angels that fell, and that's just not what it means. People, I would not necessarily say because of ignorance, because it's just like it looks good, it sounds good. The Pasuk tells us, "Vayikhu lahem bnei ha'Elohim et bnot ha'adam." The sons of God took the human daughters, and or the daughters of the humans, and they marry them. So it's not some kind of like intergalactic, interracial, galactic, relationships. That's not what it means. I mean, yeah, we know about the jungle fever. They didn't have intergalactic fever. That's not what it means. We know Vayavio Tam El Elokim refers to important people like Dayanim, judges, and so on and so forth. We sometimes in the Torah we use the word Elokim to them. So the pasuk here tells us something else. The sons of the ministers and the judges and the important people of this generation sold themselves as free to force themselves and take them to themselves, the daughters of the common man, of the regular people, and to really treat them in the wrong way. I was thinking about talking today about the way, as we see from this parasha, about the way we should not treat women, but I'm not getting into this now. I guess the root of feminism really lays on started in this parasha, but again, without getting into that. So they sold themselves free to take the daughters of the common man, and to treat them down. And that's what the Torah refers to as the word Hamas. Hamas is, there's a hint to that as well in terms of the meaning, but Hamas is not just like a terrorist organization in Gaza. Hamas is the act upon which God takes the whole entire world and turns it upside down by bringing this big flood. So, and why is that? What is Hamas? What they have, the arrogance that the people had at the time brought them to really mistreat everybody around them, to have what we call maltreatment of the people and the environment around them. They had a society class. They created a society class where some people are worth less than some other people. We have places in the world that still is a caste system, and in a way we are still infected by that disease called caste system, that we create a certain level of importance of people. Judaism is absolutely against that. Everybody has to keep Shabbat, everybody is obligated, and even if it's the poorest person out there, even if the person is mentally challenged and his life is in risk, we all violate the Shabbat for him to save his life. Everybody is equal. There's no better people than others. So, but they did not have that. In their caste system, they made people that are worth more than others. And the society that they have, that class society that they had, really, the bottom line of that is that it uses the members of society to its own benefit, and it's not necessarily just people, the whole entire world they use to their benefit. So we really need to say that the root of that injustice, this oppression, the root of the cruelty and violence that people had adopted to themselves before because they felt entitled to that. They don't need to give a regard to anyone. That's what brought us to that situation of the flood. That concept that you allow yourself to act in cruelty, is something that we can already see the roots of that from the beginning of creation. Because we have all the creatures were created in one day, right? And then we had mankind was, because he came to the world after everybody, he felt entitled that he is already fixed and superior and nothing for him to fix. And therefore, his conclusion is that the whole entire world was really meant to serve him for himself, and since it's all for me, hey, guess what? It's my party and I cry if I want to. I can do whatever I want with it. I don't have to give a regards to anything. I'll do whatever I want. We do still have this thing. And here comes the Torah, by the way, much further down. In Sefer Dvarim, the Torah says, listen, you cannot go ahead and cut trees. You cannot, certain trees you can cut and certain trees you cannot cut. This is not yours to do whatever you want. You can plant kilaim, and all those laws that the Torah brings to us in terms of, how should I plant even? You can't plant, wheat and grapes together. Why? Because the bottom line is because you need to obey to that as well. It was not meant for you. You're giving a permission to work the land, but you were not giving a permission to do with it as you wish, without any regards. So, but this is really from the beginning, from Adam HaRishon. He thought everybody, the whole entire creation, was really made for him to serve him. And you see already Adam HaRishon as a result of that, right? Adam is allowing himself to really mistreat the Garden of Eden. How? He takes from the fruit of the tree which he was forbidden to eat. He says, hey, I'm entitled to it. I'm the glory of creation. I'm entitled. Who wasn't created for me? For sure, God had created this tree for me, so I don't really care what God says. I'll do what I want. I mean, it sounds familiar to many times the way we act and we behave, but you should know, and that's why I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. This is a wrong way to do things. And you want to go from that? You see how you go quickly from this. From Gezel, because Adam HaRishon did Gezel. He stole from the tree. Gezel right away brought him to do what? His actions in a way caused killing. Why? Because Cain, well, we have Cain and Hevel. Cain took the liberty to kill Hevel. I don't like you. Guess what? I'm going to kill you. What do you think? This is the KGB in Soviet Russia? I don't like you, I'll kill you. But that's exactly what they did. And not only that, it didn't really end there. Cain actually does something else. He uses the earth, the land, to his own purpose. How? He takes Hevel, which he killed, he buries him into the land until God says, I hear the blood of your brother screaming to me from the earth. But that's the attitude that we have, and it's the wrong attitude that we have. There is no, we use creation, we use the world without any respect, without any feeling of partnership and companionship, that or responsibility to live it for further generations behind us, to our children, to our grandchildren. And it's the attitude that stinks. We have a very bad attitude. So according to that, we can understand that the teiva, again, is not just a place of refuge, some kind of a dinghy to save us from the pouring rain. The teiva, in a way, by doing so, in special forces, they take people, this one went to Kentucky, the other one went to New York, the other one went to Harvard, and the other one went to nowhere, right? And they do a certain selection thing, and it's called Special Forces Assessment and Selection, or otherwise known as, in America at least, as the Q course, where you take everybody together and try to bound them, or like buds, One of the things that they do in those things is to make sure that you understand the responsibility that you have to try to form, almost like a formation journey that people go on to, and to make you into one unit, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu here arranges humanity and all creatures of the world, this experience together, this retreat in the teva, in the ark, during the time that it's storming outside, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands that his world is filled with classes, different type of class and castes and so on and so forth, with feeling of superiority, that I'm better than you. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes everybody into a floating box that it's really quite tight, and there are animals, and it's smell, and it's whatever is going on there in the teva, right? And over there, creation, which is men and animals and everything else, need to learn again how to take care of one another, how to refer to one another. The teva, in a way, the ark, in a way, is a new form, in a way, a small model of creation, again, of recreating creation again all over, when there is no bottom and there's no top. Everybody is the same. Everybody is in the same boat, as they say, in the same boat. Everybody is being born together again, and they go out from the Teva on the same day. God did not say, all right, how about the elephants will go out first, and then this, like they do in planes, in airplanes, right? First we're going to get people from the first class, and everybody in the first class feels very good, right? And you sitting over there in the back, row 50, near the toilet, you can't even recline the chairs back if you remember from flying. You feel like dirt, even though you just flew across the ocean, you pay a lot of money, but you feel like dirt, right? Because the guy in first class. But it doesn't work like this when there is an emergency, when they open the door and everybody just jumps out, first class, second class, everybody's jumping out. That's exactly what happened with the ark. Everybody's coming out at the same time, this rejuvenation, this new creation, and everybody coming the same day. Everybody's feeling at the end, oh, God, we just experienced, all of us experienced this great destiny that we have, with reality that we have. We realize that we need to make it together. We all have to get along, as they say. And how fragile is everything, and the balance of creation, how fragile it is. Because if you're going to be stuck, say, Rabbi, what the heck are you talking about? I'm going to tell you, remember when you guys were in Zoom, nobody was able to go out, you can't set a foot in the house, and then you're out with your family, and all of a sudden you have to relearn how to negotiate your way around your family, not to step in everybody's toes, because guess what? We can't go out anywhere, so we better learn how to get along with each other. Well, those of us who did not choose to do so end up divorcing, end up fighting, and it had to be one nightmare. And those of us who were smart and understood that, in a way, when God put us back into our arks due to coronavirus, it was something for us to learn to get along with each other once again, to pay attention to your kids, to pay attention to your wife, to realize that you should realize how fragile you are, that you cannot make it without friends because you're miserable. But we need to understand that. But then we say, oh, the mayor, the governor, whether they did the right thing or the wrong thing, we're talking about your attitude right now. And the lesson that you learn from that. And it's not surprising. I mean, here we go again, second wave, right? And I'm not talking about second wave over in the ark. I'm talking about second wave of whatever is coming on our way. So, we need to understand that we should live with one another without the feeling of that I have the right to abuse you, or to take advantage of you. We are all in this together. Because when I'm taking advantage of you, I'm messing up creation as well. Or mainly because of me. There's no need to take over things, or to desire things that are not yours. Again, I'm telling you time and time again, the 10th commandment really corresponds with the first commandment. Because if you don't understand that what you have, or what the other person has, was given to him by God, and you want what he has, in a way you're saying, I don't believe in God. God does not give things. And that goes true to land. If you don't believe, for example, that God gave the Jews that piece of land that's called the land of Israel, don't come and tell me that you believe in God. I don't care what your politics here. You don't believe in God, or Allah, or whatever the heck you believe in. That's it. The Ramban explained to us, so now Noach goes out and he brings this korban, brings this sacrifice. So the Ramban explained to us that the korban is the secret of the korban, the top secret thing about korbanot, or sacrifices, is really unity. And how is it unity? Well, let me drink some water first, and then I'll tell you about unity. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam shakol yom. Amen. All right, so we take wood. We take wood. Wood comes from the earth. We take menachot, right? The offerings, which is from stuff that grows. We take the wheat, comes from something that grows. We take the flesh from a living animal, whether it's goat or rams or sheep or cows or bulls or whatever it is that we bring. But it comes from has all the elements of the living world, right? It has the wood, it has the plants, and it has the flesh. Then there's something else also that represents that we have the human kavanah, the human intent, and that makes it completely as a complete whole. It represents unity, but unity of creation. Unity of creation. And that create that beautiful unity, and that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu, God wants us to bring Korban Tamid all the time, to remind God that we also understand what is our goal in the world. We want unity in the world, with not only with one another, but also with the universe. Now you understand why it's very bad not to have unity. So when that goes kalil on the mizbeach, when that is burned completely on the altar, that is something that God actually likes. He likes that because God likes us to be united. And the purpose of the korban, the sacrifice that Noach brings, is really to express this unwritten agreement of unity of creation that was created, that was formed by staying in the teva. They stayed in the ark, and then they felt that that's what they need to do because they realized what was missing, and they're going out. So therefore, when Noach comes out of the ark, and God, quote unquote, smells his sacrifice, God knows that the track that they went on to, that special ops assessment course that they were taking, really was successful. And after that, there is not going to be any more separation or such a noticeable separation as it was before in the past. And that's why it says, Vayavan Noach Mizbeach LaHashem, and Noach built an ark for the sake of God. And he took from Mikol HaBehemah Te'or, he took from all the kosher animals, and from Mikol HaOf HaTa'or, and from all the kosher fowl and birds, Vayal Olot BeMizbeach, and he bring that olah that is burned completely in the Mizbeach, Vayareach, and God smelled that. And God smelled that fragrance, and God says to his heart, I'm not going to curse anymore the earth for the sake of man, because remember, when man sinned, God cursed the earth for the sake of men, or because of men. Why? Because man is really bad to the bone, as they say. And God said, Zot ot habrit, and this is the sign of covenant in which I give between me and between you. Uven kol nefesh chaya asher itchem ledorot olam. And then, of course, God takes the beautiful rainbow and he places that as a covenant. And you see in the color of rainbow, we have all the beautiful colors, and I feel very bad when they use the rainbow colors as a sign for LGBT, WQRX, and whatever it is that they have over there, because it doesn't represent that, because it means that everybody has, we're all in harmony, and we're not getting into this right now. However, of course, the story of Noach and the wonderful story of Noach does not in a way have a happy ending. It does not. Noach understands that the world elevated itself to a higher realm, and he thinks, all right, guys, we did what we did. It's time to go back to Gan Eden. We're going back to the garden. And I'm not talking about Madison Square Garden. Going back to the garden. And he tries to escape from the mind that causes us to feel different in terms of reality and separated, right? And what does he do? His mind doesn't really settle, so therefore what does Noach do? So Noach does what most of the people in that case do. When they experience a certain cognitive dissonance, they go into self-medication. So Noach self-medicated himself. And how did Noach self-medicate himself, Rabotai? He went drunk. He started drinking, and he became, drunk. Under the influence. And what does Noach do when he goes under the influence? He goes naked. He takes his clothes off. Of course, taking the clothes off is very symbolic. We put the clothes on, and the reason why we wear our clothes, because in Hebrew, clothing means beged. Beged is clothing. But beged is also the same root of bagad, to betray. Because we betrayed God, as a result of that, we went out of Gan Eden, and therefore we realized, oh my goodness, we are naked here. So we're wearing clothes to remind us all the time. So in a way, when you're going out naked in the beach or whatever it is that you're going, you don't know what the heck you're doing. There is a reason why we need to get dressed, and to get dressed in tzniut, in modesty, because you're arrogant. What do you think, the job is done? You back to the garden? No, it's not. You betrayed God. And that's something that we need to remember. So he drinks of the wine, he takes his clothes off, and taking the clothes off also is an effort to try to go back to Gan Eden, or to the reality of the garden. And of course, in the reality of the garden is that we don't need any kind of garments and separations and and barriers and so on and so forth between us and God. It's getting dressed in tzniut is a representation of your state, your spiritual state. So people who are dressed up in a not modest way also indicate that they are not in tune spiritually to where they're holding. Okay? So in a way, he feels like that, and it says, since everybody was in unity in the teva, we don't need to do it. And Noach understands the direction in which the world needs to go, but he doesn't understand that we didn't really get there yet. He thought that we got there. He doesn't understand that the step that humanity and the world has taken after coming out of the teva is just a step. We haven't reached the destination yet. We haven't reached the destination yet. So Noach, in a way, jumped the gun, and he tried to jump a step that was really too high for him. And his son, his younger son that saw that, did not understand what he was seeing. He didn't understand the reason behind Noach's action. And that's why he thinks that his father is simply drunk and disgraced by his father, because his father is naked. Look at him, he's drunk and he's naked. He didn't understand why was Noach doing what he was doing. His other children, other sons of Noach, understood that the world is not ready yet for this level. So therefore they did not look at him, and what did they do to Noach? They covered him. They covered Noach because they understood he's not ready yet. And they dress him up back to what clothing represents. So you understand, clothing is not just a fashion statement. Clothing also have a very deep spiritual meaning to them. And that's why I'm telling you guys, you're coming to the chamber of God, you're coming to the house of God, whether it's a bet medrash or a shul, for crying out loud, dress up appropriately. So, and guess what? According, I don't really hold by reincarnation, but guess what? Who was the reincarnation of Noach according to some Mekubalim? Moshe Rabbeinu. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Noach could have done this, but Noach did not do it. So therefore, and it's a remiss to us, when you cannot do the job in which you were assigned to, and in a way you came short, that job is going to give it to Re'acha hatov b'mecha, to somebody who is better than you in this case. In this case, and you can see it, in Adam HaRishon, the Parashat Bereshit, Adam could not do it. He screwed up. So we talk about Noach. Noach didn't finish the job. So here we are talking about. We're talking about Avraham Avinu in this week's parasha. And Avraham Avinu is the one who is going to hold the torch of unity in the next parashiot, but not in the way of jumping, trying to jump trying to jump steps that they cannot do it. Avraham Avinu is starting a very, very long and slow process because he understands that that's what needs to be done. The process of fixing up the world is a long and slow process. And the process is called education. That process is called education. Avraham Avinu understands that without the proper education, people are always going to fall short for what needs to be done. And so is to you. We need to give it to the people. We need to educate the people. We should not be sitting on our thrones of glory, because the throne of glory is reserved to God. It's a reserved seat. We should not sit on it. We should know that we need to go to education. We need to educate the people. And it's a long process. And it's not up to you to finish, but it's up to you to start and to continue walking. And that is our job. And again and again and again, I tell you, that's why you have so many Jews teachers. That's the reason why. But somewhere along the line, we forgot what we need to teach, and that's when we need to come back home. And I'm going to tell you the following. You are not going to accomplish that process of education if you're going to be learning in Zoom. You need somebody to guide you. You need somebody to hold you and hand you over the torch to hand it to other people. You want to be able to continue the process that Avraham Avinu started, but you get your sorry self here and you're going to come to learn. Otherwise, hey, you're going to fall. When you try to go up steps that are in a faster way that you can do it, or the steps are higher, you fall flat on your face. And you need to understand that. The way to unify the people is very simple. And how does Avraham Avinu does it? Avraham Avinu does hachnasat orchim. He treats everybody that comes his way as a guest. He gives them respect. He doesn't take them for granted. Are we taking our people for granted? Avraham Avinu does hachnasat orchim. He worries about the people. He takes care of those who are weaker than him, those who are in distress. He's not afraid to go to war with greater kings just because somebody needs my help. That's called tikkun ha'olam. In a very slow and methodical way of fixing society. We must fix society, and it must be done through education. And the problem is that in today's day and age, many forces of evil and destruction and forces of separation took over our educational system all over the world. And you see the deterioration of society started in colleges, in high schools, and even linger today to kindergarten. And therefore we need to create a counter movement that would teach people, to educate them on values and virtues of tikkun olam, of respecting one another, respecting every creature, taking responsibility for our environment, taking responsibility for the weak and the weary. And we should be the ones who carry the torch that handed it down from generation, and now it is our turn. And if we don't understand that, God put us in a way in this teiva. However, at the time the teiva, it's called Noah's Ark. Today they call it COVID-19. There is a reason for that. And if you're going to deal and keep on blaming shenanigans of conspiracy this and conspiracy that, you are missing the point. You are missing the lesson. We need to understand and internalize the spiritual process of everything that's happening around us. And we need to take it and make use of it in a positive and a constructive way. Education, and not through Zoom. I spoke to you about the dehumanization of the world today, that everything is done through TV screens, computer screens, and telephones. And that is not good. And therefore, if everything is done through Zoom, we need to go back to basic, into human contact and human interaction. That is no good. We need to unite the people, not to force people into the closet. We need to go and reach out to the people who are alone and lonely. You want to punish somebody, put him in solitary confinement. loneliness. And that's what we're being pushed for. So for that, the darkness of loneliness, the darkness of dehumanization, we're going to turn on the light. We're going to turn on this bright light of reaching out to people who are coming to Bet Midrash by developing contacts with people that don't come anymore, and they tell me, Rabbi, I'm learning on Zoom. Habibi, maybe you're learning on Zoom, but you're completely out of focus. Yeah, get your sorry self here. And you're going to make sure to bring people here. Even if it's hard for you. Even if they don't answer you. It is your responsibility to do it. This is how we're going to do it. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu is the Gilgul of Noach. Because only through the Torah, through the tikkun of the Torah, it could be done. By teaching it, by understanding. Moshe gives it to Aaron, gives it to Yeshua, gives it to the people give it to the other people, and we are doing the same thing that we're doing now. Am Israel needs to finish this process of unification of the universe that started by putting the whole entire reality, the whole entire world into small, tiny ark. Rabotai, got a lot to do. Have a wonderful week. Shabbat Shalom.